What do you want?
I tried to reach you all night. Why haven't you returned any of my calls?
What is there to say? You've only taken over the girls at school and abandoned our oldest tradition to go to my mother's show with a complete stranger.
First of all, I didn't take over the girls at school.
Are you really gonna pretend like you don't notice what's been going on?
What? These girls are like hummingbirds. They move from flower to flower. They'll be on to someone else next week and then back to you. It's not a big deal.
And I suppose it's not a big deal that you're sitting front row at my mother's show either.
She asked me to do it as a favor.
Oh, and how could you possibly disappoint my mother? Though you have no qualms about screwing over your best friend.
Fine, I won't go.
Good!
And then Poppy won't go and her friends won't go. And you can explain to your mother why she has an empty front row. Would that make you happy?
At least I won't have to watch the next episode of the Serena show.
You know, I was coming here to invite you to hang out with us.
Oh, how generous, Serena! I should feel so blessed that you would include me in your little group.
You know what, Blair? I am gonna go to that show, and I'm gonna sit front row, and I'm gonna enjoy every minute of it.
So as we can see in this scene, Blair was upset with Serena because she thought Serena was stealing attention from her, namely stealing her minions from her. And she also discovered that Serena and her famous friend Poppy were invited to sit front row to her mother's fashion show. So I always found Blair and Serena's duo to be one of the most iconic duos on teen television because of everything it represented for teen girls. We tend to be drawn to the idea of two powerful women or girls being friends and equally taking up space because the truth is there is power in female unity and female solidarity. However, the show Gossip Girl made us bask in that idea just to show us that it is in fact a utopia and something that is aspirational. So in theory, the idea of Blair and Serena equally taking up space and remaining healthy besties is extremely appealing and it sells. But in reality, Blair and Serena were the poster children for relational aggression among girls, frenemy dynamics, and adolescent female friendship under the patriarchy. Now, before I dive into their friendship, I think it is important to unpack the psychology of both girls individually and see how it relates to their understanding of attachment, love, self-worth, and their friendship by extension. So I have always seen Serena as having daddy issues and Blair as having mommy issues. I know people may ask what is the correlation between Serena's relationship with her dad to her friendship with Blair, and what is the connection between Blair's relationship with her mom to her friendship with Serena. First, I'm going to unpack Blair's mommy issues and how that relates to her relationship to other girls. Like I mentioned in my previous video, while discussing the reason behind Blair's ED, Eleanor was obviously a prominent figure in Blair's life as she is her primary attachment figure and the person who modeled and taught Blair how to relate to eating, her body, and other human beings. So Eleanor was an emotionally distant mother who valued performance, excellence, and aesthetics, and she wasn't the most nurturing mother, and she rarely displayed tenderness and emotional attunement in her parenting. So she was openly critical and evaluative of Blair's body and eating behavior, and overall communicated to her daughter that excessive control and dominance over one's body translated into self-worth, beauty, and respect as well. So that led to Blair growing up in an emotionally invalidating environment and in a world where performance, perfectionism, thinness, control, and dominance were synonymous with love, admiration, and self-worth. So although the show never expanded on Eleanor's friendships with other women, we gather that she's a woman who prioritizes her career and professional ambitions over parenting and intimate relationships or friendships. So when I think of Eleanor, I think of loud power, dominance, and intolerance to vulnerability, as her psychology is very much organized around themes of achievement, visibility, excellence, and leadership. So these are energetic templates, values, and behaviors that Blair witnessed growing up and probably wanted to model because it is only natural that she identifies with the prominent female figure in her life. However, the problem is that if those energies of loud power, dominance, and leadership aren't channeled properly or don't come from a solid integrated self, it can lead to unchecked competitive streaks, unnecessary rivalry, and feeling the need to dominate others to stabilize the self. So, at this point in the analysis, I think we are all starting to grasp the link between Blair's relationship with her mother and her relationship to other girls. Now, I know many of us find Blair absolutely iconic because she is gorgeous, sophisticated, such a leader, and an assertive girl who knows what she wants and gets it. But if we are being completely honest and objective, Blair was 100% a bully in the show, and essentially the poster child for relational aggression next to Regina George from the movie Mean Girls. So Blair was unfortunately the definition of catty, and she didn't even hide that she was in competition with other girls. She had minions at Constance, which was the elite school they all used to go to in the show. And if we want to analyze this in truly through a psychological lens, those minions were there to stabilize Blair's ego. Essentially, Blair had minions because her sense of self is organized around public validation and dominance. So this tells us that without her minions, there's nobody to mirror her status back to her, so she needed people there to validate her superiority and her leadership. So being recognized as Queen Bee meant so much to Blair that I don't even think it was simply an ego trip. I think it was more a self-preservation thing disguised as omnipotence. So Blair probably believes that walking alone means she isn't being seen, and other girls garnering more attention and popularity than her means she doesn't exist. So again, her psychology is very much organized around dominance and external validation, even if she tries hard to project the opposite. Now, what happens when a girl like Serena becomes best friends with a girl like Blair? First, let's talk about Serena and what she represented in the show, but more specifically, what Serena represented to the girls at Constance. So Serena wasn't Queen S at Constance, but she definitely was considered an it girl, both in and out of school. So Serena came from old money, so she symbolized effortless status. She was very well connected, socially speaking. She was loved without trying, and she fit the beauty standard to a T, according to their standards at Constance. So she was basically this tall, lean, leggy blonde that the girls at school probably idolized. Serena also had this natural charm that a lot of people recognize, and she also had a lot of success with the boys at school. Now, my take on Blair's main issue with Serena is that Serena represented many things that Blair wanted to be but had to work for. So I think that Blair found Serena intolerable at times because she internalized from her upbringing and relationship with her mother that things like love, status, legitimacy, and admiration are earned. And Blair values hard work, discipline, and merit because her wealth, or her mother's wealth, comes from all of those things. Her mother had to build an empire. She's had to work really hard to earn her status, privilege, and wealth. So basically all of those things that Serena was simply born into. Now, it is clear in the show that these things aren't explicitly said, but to understand Serena's hype at Constance or in the Upper East Side, it is important to bring to light all of the things that are attached to her character in the show, namely the Vanderwoodson name and the road name as well, and her legacy and what she signifies in the show. Stay tuned for part 2, where I dive into Serena's psychology and how that relates to her friendship to Blair.